welcome back to another episode of Quarantine Talks. So with me right now, I've got someone, I'd call you a game changer. I'll call you someone that takes initiative. I'll also probably call you someone that sets a new precedent. This is someone who's left home comfort to go abroad to kick ball, someone who's done something a lot of footballers can't say they've done in life, which is playing an inaugural season within the league, which is something.
Yeah, smart.
So, I've got my boy Jordan. What's good, bro? How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good. Just outside, trying to catch a bit of weather here.
Let me show you something just to let you know that I'm outside. I really know how it goes. Obviously, it's not your team, but
okay.
I'm outside.
Ops.
The ops.
It's the ops.
It's the ops, but I'm really outside. I really know what's going on. Obviously, that's
I hear that.
I guess for you, that's something that's quite important, right? Because I mean, your current situation sees you playing football in the Canadian Premier League. You played in the first ever season there. This is a kid from what, Northwest?
Yeah, from Northwest London.
It's like
same,
crazy, is that?
Same as Raheem.
Yeah.
And many other. I think, like, to highlight what you just said from Northwest London, we had 4 guys year after year to make the England under-16 team. And Raheem was the pioneer for that. Yeah. And we were all basically trying to chase him and what he did. So it was him. Then Reece Mitchell at the time, he was at Chelsea. Yeah. He was a 95. Raheem's a 94. I'm a 96. I made the team the year after that. And then 97 was Tafari Moore. And he won the Euros with like Dom Solanke, Tammy Abraham, and all those players as well. So like we all come from Brent, Northwest London. So
home of the Brave, on the map. Round the corner from Wembley as well. But I mean,
I'm born in Wembley, so yeah.
Yeah, nice. Sick to have you, man. Ultimately, you know how it is, man. We're just kind of seeing how everyone is and everything. So I've been having conversations with a lot of people, and obviously, like you mentioned, in Canada, it looks quite sunny there. But you're in an interesting situation because, as we were saying before, discussing off here, you were starting pre-season because the season time is a bit different. You were starting pre-season, and now Corona's come, quarantine and lockdown is here. You're in a situation where pre-season has essentially stopped officially. So how is your diet at the moment?
With me, I never used to be like that, but I'm always on point with things like food and diet and everything like that. Like the worst food I'm putting in my body is like maybe like Oreos or something like that, or something it could be like something like or I don't know, ice lolly or something like that. Like that's like a treat for me, you know. So everything else I'm eating day to day is things that I enjoy, is really healthy foods, you know. So how I'm eating, it's not really a problem. With me, I have high metabolism anyway, so I can easily put on weight and I can easily shed off weight as well. Just depends on what I'm doing and the intensity of it. But like how I eat day to day doesn't really change depending on if I'm in quarantine or not.
Oh, okay, that's proper. I mean, but speaking on quarantine, as you mentioned, alluded to, pre-season had started. This would have been the second season of the Canadian Premier League. Just for context, in the first season, your team won the regular season. Missed out on the actual championship per se over the 2 legs. How are you feeling right now? Because we'll probably get into it, but from the outside looking in, you come across as a young, talented baller who's kind of gone searching for a home in football, has finally found one, and then when everything was settled and everything, this situation has just come and essentially put a halt to what was going well for you. So how are you feeling at the moment?
Yeah, man. It's just to speak on me individually. I'm really I was really excited to go back. It's always cliche to say, like, you know, you see footballers say, "Oh yeah, new year, new grind or whatever the saying may be or whatever. But like this year, like I was really like, this was the year I was really looking forward to in football out of all the years I've played. It should be like that for every year, but I think this year just had that extra motivation, considering that we lost and considering that, you know, for me personally, I felt like I could have done even better than I did last season. So I was really like willing to get back to playing and everything. And, you know, the preseason would have helped us a lot because we'd have versed some MX Liga teams in Mexico, and they're top teams. Like when I was younger, I didn't really realize in terms of other places in the world. I just thought like Premier League and that's it, you know. But these Mexican teams and things like that, they're like top quality teams, you know. But it's just that they don't come over to play in Europe. Some of the players, likewise in like Brazil and things like that, places like that where, you know, if they kept all their top players, then the league would be outstanding, you know. So we were going to play some of those teams and kind of put us to the test and to the challenge, but that got postponed. And in terms of like team-wise, you know, everyone knows the story in Canada, how we lost in the final and we won the regular season, and everything to do with that. So for us, we just like wanted to go back and get playing again. And it's like, it's a feeling of, you know, this was the new season and we already had our off season, which is long, and we wanted to get underway with everything, but then everything got put to a halt. So then it's like, oh, you're still thinking about last season kind of thing. Like you're not in this season, you know what I mean? Like, because it got put to a halt. So it's a weird feeling that I haven't had, but just hopefully it clears over and it's safe to play again.
Yeah, fingers crossed. I mean, I guess with not just your team, but with all the teams in the league, there's that added complexity because it's the second season, right? It's a new league. Funding is a major thing. And I know it was reported that because of the corona financial impacts that players had to take within the league had to take pay cuts, and members of staff had to kind of take pay cuts as well. How was that received? Because I know the conversations within the UK and that were very different, but in a situation in Canada where it was kind of, listen, as a league, we have to do that. How is it received by kind of management and staff and players?
Yeah, you know, it was one of those ones where I wouldn't lie, it wasn't really received good to do with the players, especially the fact that a statement got put out basically on the day we found out. So it wasn't really any involvement, but now, as I said, I always give this league the benefit of the doubt because, you know, number one, it gave me a home. Number two, it's a new league, and they're kind of getting to grips with things. So they came up with a players' union, and they had it in place before, but they didn't get it started until like basically this news got brought out. But I feel like with the players' union, there'll be a lot more clarity on these type of situations, how there is in England. It's very normal in England. You have the PFA, and they help you with all these situations and stuff like that for your lifetime, basically, even after football. So I feel like, you know, it's a new league. You give them the benefit of the doubt in terms of you understand, but like just clarity would be nice in these type of situations. And at the end of the day as well, we're not on like astronomical numbers or anything like that. We're really on some of us are on average wage, you know, so it's not like astronomical numbers or anything like that to be taking like pay cuts and everything else. So yeah, obviously the politics is there and can't really do anything about it. Just gotta be ready, but we get the money back if the season continues, so it's not really the end of the world. Yeah, it's not the end of the world.
That's good then. I mean, I guess like you mentioned, even if you get the money back, that's quite nice, because I guess the flip side to that is you've got teams in lower leagues in the UK where there's not that kind of support, where it's kind of, we're going to take some money back and get it back. Players are getting released from contracts now, saying the clubs are saying, listen, we ain't got peas to get you, so you've got to go now. So I guess you kind of got that safety net that even though the money's not there at the moment, that's been taken away, it will come back. So that's dope in itself. But we've mentioned Canada, we've mentioned North London, but the route to Canada from North London is an interesting one because you are a former Arsenal and West Ham youth product. You've been on loan. You was on loan to Chelmsford, right?
Yeah.
Went to Germany, was in the Czech Republic, and it's like, how does a young baller, young 23-year-old, end up in Canada? It's very interesting for me. So, like, how has that transition come about, especially for a new league? How did you end up in a new league?
Yeah, for me, all of that journey, like, it was kind of, I would say, just simply for the fact that, like, I was a talented prospect type of thing. So when you're young, you know, and you're good, it's very easy to, or you have to be doing well. It's very easy to get these type of clubs, but when you come out of that situation, it's like, what happens, isn't it? Like, where do you go, type of thing? Because if you're not playing first team football and you got all these clubs behind you on your CV, it doesn't really count for much, you know. The thing that counts is like first team games and stuff. So for me, I really wanted to kind of get that under my belt. I did get that under my belt in Germany because their second team play in a men's league, the 4th division in Germany. So it's very competitive. Just I would compare it to similar like 4th division in England type of things. So yeah, with me, I kind of wanted to continue that, and me going to the Czech Republic, that was a bit random. I could see how people always ask me about that, like, why did you go there? I only went there for like 3 or 4 months because at the time I didn't find the right place for me to be, and that was somewhere where I could just play for 3 or 4 months, and then that will see me up to like the January window, and then I had another option other than the team I'm at now to sign with, but I chose to go to Canada. An agent messaged me, got in touch with me, and he proposed the opportunity to me, and I was just like it's not really anything to talk about. Like, you can't really say no when everything's new, especially like the backing behind it and everything, you know, like it looked really like attractive. So for me, I was just like, something that I can never probably do again in my career, where I could just play in a first ever season and create history like that. So
because it's interesting. I know there's a lot of ballers that have come from around the world to the CPL as well. I know there's some ballers from the Far East. Amiobi's brother is playing there at the moment as well, right? Being a young player, and this is kind of like I said, we're just conversating. Being a young player where we know how difficult it is in the UK, especially when you're playing for teams. You can be the most talented prospect, but for some reason or the other, sometimes it doesn't work out. A lot of players typically either go into the lower leagues or they might even go into semi-pro. What made you take that decision to say, you know what, I'm not going to look down. I'm kind of going to look across, or I'm going to look outside of my environment.
Yeah.
It's a brave decision. Not everyone's got the balls to do it, so to say.
Yeah, you can look at it 2 ways if it's brave or not, right? Like, you can say you're brave for going to the conference or the non-league or whatever, and you're going to back yourself to try and get back up. That could be a brave decision. It depends how you look at it. A brave decision for me, which I don't think is that brave, to be honest, in my opinion, actually playing at a level which they consider in different countries, your own country, they respect it more because it's a first division league. Me personally, I don't think it's that brave, you know. Like, I feel like it's a no-brainer. For me, you have more value playing in a first division league than you do in 5th, 6th division in England, let's say, for example, if that was to be my case. So for me, I would always advise like the younger guys out there, build your contacts. Don't be afraid to ask other players, you know. I feel like football is actually quite a loving community sometimes, especially you know, people from London, and everyone knows what you go through, right? So, you know, everyone's kind of been through those hard times as well. So I feel like with me, and anyway, in my case, if you just ask and find out, maybe somebody's gone somewhere, who got you there, type of thing, you know, and the most that could happen is somebody says, nah, sorry, I can't do anything for you, you know. So that's what I kind of had to do, leaving Germany. I had to kind of build up my contacts, different places and stuff, and because you can't wait for somebody to come find you with an opportunity. You gotta go find it yourself, you know. So that's what I tried to do, and then that's how I ended up finding like these opportunities I've had in the last few years.
Talk to me more on that, because it's an interesting anecdote being a young baller, and young footballers typically in academies, a lot is done for you because it's kind of we're investing in you because we see you being the future. But on what you've just said now, it gets to a point where you have to invest in kind of yourself. It's not always the club to go forward. How was that for you? Because as we've mentioned, you were really highly thought of at West Ham. I know you made your appearance under Slaven Bilic. If not for the position the team found themselves at that time, you and a manager is allowed to take risks because he's got a bit more comfortable. I'm pretty sure you'd have played more games. You would have made more appearances. I'm pretty sure you was listed on in the Premier League kind of official team at some point, the submitted team. So it's like, to go from that to go into a situation where you said, like you mentioned, you have to kind of trust yourself and build your networks. What is that like?
Yeah, like you said, going from like a situation like that to the situation I'm in now is very common in football, because, you know, you will hear these quotes all the time, for 1% or less than 1% make it into the Premier League or stay in the Premier League or whatever, have a career there. You know, for me, I wish even back then I did things a bit differently in terms of just learning, hearing from advice around me, older people, whether that be players or people who've played the game before and stuff like that, advice. And if I used that, then it would have been very useful to me at the time, because now I see very clearly what the things that I could have done a bit better in certain situations. Doesn't even have to be football, to be honest. But my performances in like the youth teams and everything was quite good. So, so for me, I feel like just in terms of, I would always say, you know, a lot of, I can't give a percentage on it, but a lot of failing factors in the youth today is down to greed and agents and like politics in clubs and stuff. If I kind of took control of things then, and I had a few opportunities to do that, because I was kind of wiser than my peers at that stage, where I didn't sign long agent contracts. All my agent contracts were like 1 year basis and stuff. So if I wanted to get out of them, I could get out of them. But even saying that, then I wish I kind of used the agents like they used me, basically. So I should have like built my contacts from then, and I would have kind of had better moves, or at certain where I was playing really well, I could have gone, you know, certain places, and I could have kind of planned and mapped out my my journey from there. Because I remember there was a time where I was doing quite well. I just played for the first team, and then I come off the back of a really good preseason. I think I scored like the most goals in our 23 team in preseason, and then I wasn't starting. I got really frustrated, and then it was kind of two people, you know, my own thoughts and other outside thoughts talking to me, and the club at the time, there was a guy in charge. He was telling me to go on loan, and that's how I ended up going on loan to Chelmsford. But looking back at it now, it kind of it was probably him using me for his own benefit. Maybe he got money out of that or something like that, or you know, maybe he he wanted to push someone else through instead of myself. But if I had like my own contacts and whatever, I could have kind of picked my own journey, if that made sense. Instead of relying on the club to find me a loan, you know. And then that loan ultimately blocked me moving 6 months earlier to Germany to play in Hanover. So that's like one thing that I say to myself now. If I could go back, I would change that, because if I ended up moving in January, which I wasn't allowed to because I already went on loan to Chelmsford, then I would have signed for Hanover. The people in the office at the time, they really, really liked me. They're the ones who like were trying to sign me, enforced to sign me and everything. And then at the end of that season, or during that season anyway, they were getting relegated. So they had nothing to lose. So all their young players who I was training with and I was doing better than, anyway, they ended up making all their debuts in the Bundesliga. So like literally like 5-6 of them. And I know for a fact I would have been one of them or at the top of that bunch. So that would have been a good thing for my CV and hopefully my career at the time. So yeah, like I said, you gotta take control of your own career now. Don't put it in the hands of an agent or a club, and just be a man about it, kind of thing.
No, that's some real rap, man, and it's crazy because I was having a conversation recently with a few friends where in football the agent is supposed to work for the player. That's what the agent's there for. Without any footballers, the agent doesn't have a job. But there are loads of circumstances and situations where if you look at the agent and the player, who gets the better deal out of the situation that's going on? It's crazy the amount of circumstances. If you speak to footballers, they'll say, you know, my agent probably got a better deal than I did out of that. Or my agent moving me from team A to team B was more beneficial for him than me. And it's crazy because the agent's supposed to work for the baller, and maybe it's something that will gradually change with people like yourself kind of speaking on things and whatnot, platforms like us talking. But it is a real red flag within the industry. And I guess in terms of Football 258, is that why you kind of feel necessary to give back knowledge, give back little things to ballers and communities because of what you've kind of been through as a baller?
100%, man. Like, obviously, I want to do something that I have a passion for. I'm not just going to do it because, out of boredom or out of greed. I want to do something I'm passionate about and I know about as well. So I have confidence telling you like this information, and having said that, I'm an expertise in my own experience, I might not be an expertise in another experience, but this kind of gives you another experience. Like not everyone goes through the exact same experience as me. There's like millions and 1,000 experiences out there. So having like a platform like this, like anything to do with like, young players in London, and it could be any platform type of thing to do with football. It will kind of give you an insight or information, will maybe chink your mindset in terms of how you go about things, and maybe that could be the thing that you end up changing your game or changing in your life that kickstarts your career, and it kind of elevates from there,
For real. So with the Canadian Premier League now, obviously you had a really good season. I think probably one of the highlights for you is not even just the regular season, it was probably the cup competition, because you faced MLS side and you got a goal, and which is a massive platform because not only is it you playing the MLS side, that's Vancouver, right? And you scored.
Yeah.
With the news recently of it's Emilio Estevez, right, that plays for York 9. He's gone to Den Haag in Eredivisie.
Yeah.
Where does that kind of put you on mind? Because it obviously means that this new league that's, new, there's not many teams, but good amount of fans, good stadium, good level. Players are getting signed already into some of the great big leagues in Europe. Does that kind of make your mind go, okay, you know what? I just need to keep performing, and potentially there's a move for me, maybe back to UK or back to a big league per se?
Yeah. For me, the bottom line is anyway, you have to perform. That never changes, you know, that bottom line never changes. You have to put in performances week in, week out. In terms of if you're gonna be owed anything, or if you're gonna get a move or anything like that. So that's the bottom line. And if you do that, you're gonna get what you deserve, right? But in terms of like players moving out of the league, yeah, it's crazy, you know. Like I was saying like the other day, if nobody created this league, then like those players you just mentioned, one of the players you just mentioned, he doesn't get a move to that league, you know, and he doesn't get the opportunity to compete against Ajax, PSV. Likewise with the MVP of our league last year, he moved to the second division in Belgium. And the way football works is crazy, right? Because he's the MVP of the league. He moved to the second division in Belgium. This guy last year barely got any minutes. Like, he was a sub player coming on. He was very good. And I feel like he should have got a way better opportunity, probably. He should have got more of an opportunity last year, but he didn't, and he ended up getting a move. So it just goes to show you that if you keep doing what you should be doing, doesn't matter like how many minutes you're playing or whatever, people are watching you. Now it's not like 10, 15 years ago where there's not these kind of stats, databases. You know, I could just go on my phone, go on things like Y-Scout, Instat, type in a player's name, and all of his clips. Everything's there. You just watch him. Watch him on your phone. What he's done this season. You don't need to be at the game no more. You know, like you hear about scouts going to watch certain players like in the past and whatever. You don't need to do that. So if you're putting in performances, then you're gonna get a move. Same with my teammate last year as well. He didn't play one competition versus an MLS team, but he's the only one in our team and our league who moved to MLS team last year, and he got bought. So yeah, he was injured for those games, and I'm sure he would have played a big part, but he didn't play. And you know, he didn't play like the most minutes in his position either, and he's a centre back. So it goes to show you, if you just keep plugging away and keep doing what you're supposed to be doing, then you know people are watching out there.
No, for real, man. Something I was going to ask is, obviously your heritage does make you eligible to play for Jamaica, play for you, England, play for Jamaica. Is that something you would pursue personally?
So 100%. I always said like from, you know, I had an awakening type of thing, type of moment when I was like 19, 20. And I always said, doesn't matter what happens from here on out, I'm going to play for my heritage countries, which is either Jamaica or Barbados. With Jamaica, I know it's a loaded competition. Even with the players who play for England, like, it's actually crazy to think of the team that we could actually have playing for Jamaica. Could be World Cup standard type of thing, but it's not. It is what it is. It will take time. But even the players that haven't been selected for England and Jamaica, who I hear that they're going to call up, it's just, you know, it's really high level players. You know, Premier League players, even Championship players, MLS players, so to speak. So with Jamaica, it's something that, you know, I would take in a heartbeat. But the question is, how long would I have to wait for that opportunity? Where with Barbados, it would be like maybe a smaller team who are growing, who are also getting players on board now and stuff like that. And I have exclusive, actually. I actually have a inkling that maybe sometime soon I might play for them. So
okay, have you been to a camp? Have you been to camp before, or?
No, I've never been to none of these camps or anything like that. But recently, people have been in touch with me, and yeah, we'll just have to see like with all this coronavirus and everything like that, how things will pick up after that and what will happen. But that's something that I've always wanted to do, represent like my parents' countries, and you know, be proud of you know, my people who are supporting me, that they see me for who I am and they're not judging me because, you know, I look a bit different to them, type of thing. So that's how I've felt from, as I said, for like the last 3-4 years. Something that I'll be doing in the future.
Power to you for that, man. With the league, you mentioned there's lots of movement of players going here and there, and of course, if your form keeps continuing, the sky's the limit. But in terms of the standard of the league, what would you compare that to? Because when you speak to, one of the key things I'm a big fan of is you don't become a professional footballer by luck. No matter what level it is, there's a certain level of ability and mentality it takes to become a professional footballer. So even when people are like, oh yeah, you know what, I bet I could do that. You probably couldn't. You probably couldn't even do the drills that happens in training. You get me? So like, I always try and educate people that Championship, League One, League Two, these guys are really good footballers. Like if you go and do training with them, you will see it. So what would you say the Canadian Premier League is standard-wise compared to where you've played before, what people have seen?
Yeah, obviously, as you just said, there's levels to everything. So, you know, I have no qualms with, let's say, for example, a Premier League footballer not rating me, because there's levels, you know. But when it's like the public and stuff, it's a bit different, you know. You can't really, it's hard to explain and kind of give comparison sometimes, but just know that you should have a found respect for a professional, because like you said, for them to be there, they actually they can actually play football, you know. So there's some players that I don't rate, for example, but I don't rate them compared to the level. It's not like I'm saying they can't play football. It's like I don't rate them compared to the level. Same as like how people might not rate players in the Premier League or whatever. Like they're playing in the Premier League, they're better than 85, 75% of the players on the planet who actually play football. So yeah, like in comparison to the Canadian Premier League, it's very varied. I get this question a lot, and I say that, in my opinion, the top player in the league, or the top players in the league, they can play a solid level in Europe, anywhere in Europe, I would say, for maybe like, I wouldn't say Premier League, I wouldn't say La Liga, none of these leagues like that, but like all the other leagues, like the guy who Estevez, who went to Holland, these players could be like squad players for these type of teams or whatever, like the top players in our league, I would say, because again, the margin and the gap is very thin, from the top to like a top division, like a Belgium top division or Holland top division, compared to, I don't know, compared to like League One, let's say, for example. There's actually not much difference. It's just those players, they do on a consistent basis everything they do, in terms of like they do the basics well. Like a 5-yard pass might seem so easy on TV, but why is it not that players have 90% pass completion every single game? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like concentration, repetition, consistency, all these things that these top teams and these top players, they do consistently, which separates them from like the players below. So I'd say for the top players in our league, I think they can play in a Portugal first division, Belgium first division, Holland first division, those type of countries, no problem, you know. And they could be like a squad player or player, you know, who plays a role in the team. At the lowest, I would say I've seen a lot better players in England, to be honest. So the lowest quality in our league, I would say there's a lot better players in England, in my opinion, again, who play maybe Ryman League or you know what I mean, or Conference South or Conference North or Conference Prem, and yeah, those players I would say like are better than like the lower players in our league who maybe are not up to it, up to the standard of the top players in our league. So it's very different.
It's crazy when
we have a salary cap, so
it's so crazy when you think about it, because the way I see it is you've got man that are in those leagues now, and if they had the knowledge or the connections or the willingness to do it, they could move to a league like you're in and perform well, because right now it's a new league, but that level that they're playing at is over there. And like you said, you've got the opportunity to play against teams in Mexico in your pre-seasons, your competitions where you play against MLS, and expose yourself to really high levels. So it's crazy that decision making in football can really allow you to see a new world and maybe showcase yourself. But without that knowledge, you can never make a move like that, I guess.
Yeah, 100%, man. Like, I was saying it to my boy the other day. I was saying, like, you know, if you really go down to that level and, like, I'm talking about, like, lower leagues in England, and you've played at a higher level before, you're really cutting yourself short, because once you go down there, that's your level now. Like, you'd have to do something. You'd have to do something, spectacular to get back up. And it's like you're already there, you know, you're already, let's say, for example, a West Bromwich Albion, they release you, and you've played for their 23s or whatever. Like another country, they're still gonna value you like as like a young player who didn't make it there, and you'll get a good team like abroad, you know, like if you were to do that. But then if you were to say you go play for Solihull, you know, in Birmingham, I don't know what league they play in, but I think they play in conference or something.
Conference, I think they were battling relegation, aren't they?
Yeah. So if you go play for Solihull now, because that's your local team, and you're just basically selling yourself short, then now that's your level, and now you can't go to all the opportunities that you had where people were rating you. Like,
the last thing they'll see
football is.
Yeah, it's mad.
Yeah, the last thing they see is Solihull. So I say,
obviously,
I
no
advise, like,
Solihull, but I get what it's fully get what
you're saying. That's the last thing people see on your CV when people are abroad, and that's what I'm saying. People, players in England, they're so narrow-minded, and I think it's just because like you get built up through all these years, like playing academy and everything. You have one goal: it's to play in the Premier League or play for your parent club, which might be in the Championship or whatever. But you're in this bubble where you feel like there's no outer world. Like, the only team that people would probably say, the only place I would go is like, I'll do like what Jadon Sancho did, where I moved to Borussia Dortmund, but that's it. I wouldn't move anywhere else in Germany, or they don't rate it. Like, they don't even probably rate like the German second division. The German second division is not far off Championship football. Either. It's the second best second division in the world, if that makes sense. After the Championship. So,
and you've got some big boy teams playing in there as well.
Exactly. I think last year or the year before that, but Hamburg
went down.
They went down.
I mean, Dusseldorf
other teams
came up.
Came
up, but Dusseldorf there were like doing major stuff. Like, and it's a team that was there for a while.
These are proper teams, proper stadiums, proper fans. When I was at Hanover and I first signed there, in the second division, the first team they were selling out, or not selling out, but the stadium was 50,000 and they were getting 40,000 in there.
Strong numbers,
Strong numbers. So like, players, they don't realize like there's another world out there. So if you sell yourself short and go down, like, you've just killed an opportunity where you could have had abroad. And still, if you go abroad, it doesn't work out, you still got that name on your CV where it's a big team considered. So you could always get another opportunity after that, you know. So but you know, unless you're going to a league where they really, really like English players, and there's not really much of them out there now anyway. Maybe Scandinavia, countries like that, where, you know, they take a lot of English players, but other than that, like, you're you're pretty much selling yourself short.
It's crazy, man. What knowledge can do to help someone's career, man.
Yeah, 100%,
bro. Thank you so much, man. Hopefully everything gets settled soon. So what have they said? Will the season just resume, or would you go into pre-season and then the season? What's going to happen now? Because obviously you have two parts. You have the fall and the spring, don't you, usually?
Well, that was last season.
Yeah.
And that was just like it seems like now it's just a test type of thing. So I feel like now, because there's one more team, 8 teams now, they can kind of have the plans out the window, to be honest, because of this corona stuff. But they would have had a proper season, but you would have just played each other 4 times instead of normally in most leagues just play each other twice. So they would have had like literally equal amount of games against each other, home twice, away twice versus each team. And then they would have had this year, instead of 2 teams in the playoff, they would have had first team automatic in the final, and then they would have had second and third play a match to play the first team. But now I don't know. I actually can't tell you what's going to happen. My estimation, I feel like what they should do is they should just train for 3 weeks, and get back to it. I'm talking about 3 weeks of like proper training, not just like dribbling around cones and things like that. But like not quarantine training, but like proper training of 3-week training, and then with like 2-3 preseason games, and just get right into it, to be honest.
Sounds good, man. But bro, all the best for the rest of the season, man. Thank you so much. And yeah, that's another episode of Quarantine Talks. Out.